I wake up at 9 on Thanksgiving morning to something wrong. Silence. The Kessler family house, our 5-bedroom monument to middle-class aspiration, is never silent on Thanksgiving. Mom should be downstairs already, the kitchen filled with the rich aroma of roasting turkey. Dad should be planted in front of the TV, volume cranked too high on the Macy's parade. Corbin and Sloane should be bickering over who gets the good bathroom first, but there's nothing, just the faint hum of the heating system clicking on. I sit up, run a hand through my tangled hair, and listen harder. No cabinets opening and closing, no water running, no footsteps on the stairs. Hello? My voice sounds strange in the stillness. When no one answers, a flicker of unease ripples through me. I grab my phone from the nightstand. No messages, no missed calls, nothing to explain the wrongness of this morning. I swing my legs over the side of the bed, suddenly wide awake. The hardwood floor feels cold against my bare feet as I pad to the hallway. Mom? Dad? I call out, louder this time. The doors to my siblings' rooms stand open, beds empty and hastily made. Not slept in at all, by the look of them. Downstairs, the kitchen is spotless. No turkey thawing on the counter. No ingredients lined up for stuffing or cranberry sauce. Just my coffee mug from last night sitting alone in the otherwise empty sink. I walk to the front window and pull back the curtain. The driveway is empty. All the cars are gone, my parents' sedan, Corbin's beat-up Jeep, even the 7-seater SUV I filled with gas yesterday for our planned drive to Uncle Dean's house. A ridiculous thought flashes through my mind. Maybe they ran out for cranberries or another last-minute ingredient, but the house doesn't feel like they just stepped out. It feels cold, abandoned. I grab my phone again, pull up my mother's contact. It's gone. My father's number gone too. I scroll frantically through my contacts. Corbin, Sloane, even Rhett, all deleted. What the hell? I mutter, my heartbeat quickening. Then I remember. Last night. Rhett borrowing my phone. Hey sis, can I check the score real quick? My phone's dead. 19 years old and still can't remember to charge his phone. I'd handed it over without a second thought. Clever, but not clever enough. Rhett isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He deleted the entries but didn't block the numbers. I still have our call history, and I know most of their numbers by heart anyway, but Uncle Dean's I know for sure. I tap it in, and hit call, pacing the kitchen as it rings. Hello? His voice sounds relaxed, cheerful. Uncle Dean, it's Krista. Where is everyone? A pause. Krista? Oh, you're still home? Something in his voice makes my stomach drop. And then I hear it in the background, the rhythmic sound of waves crashing against a shore. Somewhere distant, the faint, unmistakable plucking of a ukulele. Where are you? I ask, though I already know the answer isn't his New England colonial, with the massive dining room table we were supposed to gather around today. Ah. His voice drops. Well, your parents wanted a big surprise for their 30th anniversary. They all flew to Maui last night. I grip the counter, my knuckles turning white. All of them? They figured you were busy with work, he continues, sounding uncomfortable now. And, well, they didn't want you to worry about the expense. The expense. The expense for the vacation they're taking with money I've been pouring into this house for years. Before I can respond, I hear a voice in the background. Sloane. God, are you talking to her? I thought the plan was to just let her stay home. Uncle Dean makes a shushing sound, but it's too late. I've heard enough. Krista, he starts. I end the call. The kitchen feels colder now as I stand motionless, my phone clutched in my hand. This wasn't some last-minute prank. This was planned, orchestrated. They deleted my contacts. They snuck out in the night. They left me behind deliberately. My gaze drifts to the calendar on the fridge, where I'd circled today's date and written Thanksgiving at Uncle Dean's in my neat handwriting. Next to it, the list of chores I'd completed to get ready. Clean guest bathroom, gas up SUV, pick up wine. This wasn't a prank. This was deliberate, malicious financial exclusion. They wanted a luxury vacation using the money I paid for the mortgage, and they didn't want me there. I wait for tears, for the crushing weight of betrayal to bring me to my knees. But it doesn't come. Instead, something strange happens. A crystalline clarity washes over me. Every moment of the last 6 years, every check I've written, every bill I've paid, every sacrifice I've made while my siblings took snaps into sudden, Perfect focus. I don't cry. I don't scream. I don't throw things. I just stand in the silent kitchen of a house that isn't really mine, feeling something final click into place inside me. I am done. The phone clicks dead in my hand. Uncle Dean's voice and Sloane's careless complaint fade into silence, but their echoes remain, ricocheting through my mind like stray bullets. I sink into a chair at the empty kitchen table, my coffee mug from last night still sitting in the sink, the only evidence anyone lives here at all. The house feels cavernous now, each empty room mocking me with its silence. 6 years. The number materializes in my mind with perfect clarity. 6 years of being the invisible pillar. 6 years of watching my paycheck disappear into this 5-bedroom monument to middle-class pretension, all while being told I was the responsible one. I was 20 when I moved back home after community college. Mark Dad had just been demoted. The mortgage payments were temporarily difficult, Mom had explained, eyes wide with practiced worry. Just until they got back on their feet. 6 years later, and Dad's job still barely covers the car insurance and his hobbies, his fishing trips, his golf clubs, his collection of vintage model cars that sit untouched in glass cases in the basement. The total mortgage, $2,800 a month. My contribution, $2,000. Their contribution, $800. The math burns in my mind, bright and undeniable. I pull out my phone, open the calculator app, and punch in the numbers with methodical precision. $2,000 x 72 months equals $144,000, $144,000. Gone, not invested, not saved, not even appreciated. Meanwhile, Corbin, 28, and supposedly the entrepreneur of the family, has lived here rent-free since his $50,000 startup crashed and burned 2 years ago. $50,000 that Mom and Dad had somehow found for him, even as I was writing checks for new gutters and property taxes. And Sloane? 22 and attending Riverdale Private College, her $38,000 annual tuition and sorority dues paid without question. Your sister needs to focus on her studies. Mom had explained when I'd asked why Sloane couldn't work part-time like I had. The responsible one. Family code for the ATM. The numbness from the phone call begins to fade, replaced by something colder, quieter. Not anger, anger would be too hot, too messy. This is something else. Something final. I'm done. The word settles in my chest like a stone. Done. They left me. But they left me in the house I paid for, connected to the utilities I managed. They assumed I would just wait. And keep paying. For what? The privilege of being excluded? The honor of funding Maui vacations I wasn't invited to? I don't throw things. I don't scream. Those reactions would give them too much power, confirm their whispered assessments that I'm too emotional or can't take a joke. Instead, I walk to my home office, the smallest bedroom, the one with the water stain on the ceiling that no one else wanted. I pull open the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet and extract a 3-inch binder, its weight substantial in my hands. 6 years of receipts. 6 years of bank statements. 6 years of warranties for appliances and electronics I purchased when the old ones broke down. 6 years of evidence. I carry the binder to the kitchen table and open my laptop. But I don't book a flight to Maui. I don't compose an angry email. I don't even check social media to see if they've posted sunny photos from the beach yet. I Google local moving companies, immediate availability. Several options appear, but most are closed for the holiday weekend. One company, however, advertises a premium holiday emergency move service. Their rates are double the normal price. I dial the number. Reliable movers. This is Troy. Hi, Troy. I need to move out of my current residence. Tomorrow morning. Is that possible? Troy sounds surprised but professional. Yes, ma'am, but I should warn you our holiday rates are... That's fine. I cut in. I'll need a truck large enough for several major appliances and furniture pieces. We can handle that. 8 a.m. Work for you? Perfect. I hang up and look around the kitchen. The high-end, front-loading washer and dryer I bought last year after Sloane complained the old ones were gross. The 4-door smart fridge I purchased when the original one died during a heat wave. The $900 espresso machine Corbin and Sloane use every morning without ever buying a single bag of coffee. All in my name. All paid for with my money. They wanted to talk about expenses. Let's talk about expenses. I open my laptop again and search for studio apartments within a 30-minute drive of my office. Something becomes available next week, but I find a complex offering immediate move-in for an additional fee. I make the call, put down the deposit, and schedule the lease signing for tomorrow afternoon. Next, I create a detailed inventory of everything I've purchased for this house. The 80-inch 4K TV from the living room, my $2,500 bonus from last year, the high-speed Wi-Fi router and mesh system, the new dishwasher. Item by item, I catalog what's mine. Not in anger, not in vengeance. In simple, cold accounting. 7 days, I think. They'll be gone for 7 days. When they return, expecting the comfort they've always taken for granted, expecting me to have maintained their lives in their absence, they'll find something very different waiting for them. I run my fingers over the binder, feeling the plastic cover, cool and smooth beneath my touch. 6 years of being the responsible one. 6 years of being the invisible foundation that everyone stands on but no one sees. I close the binder. I've been responsible long enough. The moving truck arrives at 8 the next morning. I stand in the driveway, my 3-inch binder tucked under my arm like a shield, watching 3 men in matching blue uniforms climb out. The logo on their truck, Premium Holiday Relocations, cost me triple the normal rate, worth every penny. Miss Kessler? The foreman approaches, clipboard in hand. We're ready when you are. I nod, opening my binder to the tab section marked Purchases. Let's start in the living room. Inside, I point to the 80-inch 4K TV mounted on the wall. That comes down first. The foreman raises an eyebrow at the massive screen. Nice TV. My $2,500 bonus from last March, I say, tapping the receipt in my binder. The paper is crisp, preserved in a plastic sleeve. The bracket stays it came with the house. The men work with practiced efficiency. One disconnects cables while 2 others carefully unmount the TV. In less than 10 minutes, they're wrapping it in protective blankets. I move through the house like a general, binder open, pointing out each item. This isn't an emotional rampage. It's inventory management. The washer and dryer in the laundry room, I say, leading them down the hall. I bought them after Sloane complained the old ones were gross. I remember her exact words. God, Krista, these machines are from the Stone Age. Can't we get something that doesn't look like it belongs in a gas station bathroom? In the kitchen, the foreman whistles at the massive stainless steel refrigerator. 4-door smart fridge. That's going to be tricky. It's empty, I assure him. Last night, I'd thrown out everything perishable and packed the rest in coolers now sitting in my car, and I've already disconnected the water line. They remove the refrigerator with careful precision, leaving a gaping hole in the custom cabinetry. The $900 espresso machine is next. I watch as they wrap it, remembering how Corbin and Sloane would use it every morning, leaving their empty cups scattered around the house. Not once in 3 years had either of them bought coffee beans. That was always my job, like everything else. Wi-Fi router and mesh system, I say, pointing to the sleek devices. All 4 nodes throughout the house, the ones that powered Corbin's endless job searches and Sloane's Instagram empire. Room by room, the house empties of everything that's mine. The movers work quickly, professionally, asking few questions. I answer the ones they do ask with calm precision. No, that stays. Yes, that goes. Careful with that, it's fragile. By noon, the truck is half full, and the house already feels different. Hollower, lighter. With each item that leaves, a weight lifts from my shoulders. The ghosts that have haunted me, expectations, obligations, guilt, seem to fade with every empty space created. Taking a break for lunch, ma'am, the foreman tells me. I nod and walk through the quieter house while they eat in their truck. My footsteps echo on the hardwood floors now that the area rugs, also mine, are gone. In the living room, the wall looks naked without the TV. In the kitchen, the refrigerator's absence reveals years of dust and a single magnet that had fallen behind it, a Hawaiian sunset from some previous family vacation I hadn't been invited to. This isn't destruction, I remind myself. This is reclamation. By 4 in the afternoon, they've loaded everything that's mine. I stand in the driveway, signing the paperwork as they secure the truck. Address for delivery? The foreman asks. I give him the information for my new studio apartment. The lease started yesterday, paid 3 months in advance. After they leave, I return to the house. The emptiness is jarring but satisfying. I pull out my phone and start recording, walking from room to room, documenting the condition of the property. No damage to the walls where the TV hung, no scratches on the floors where the furniture slid out, no dents in the door frames. Evidence, just in case. In the kitchen, I open cabinets that now hold only the mismatched mugs and cheap plates my parents had before I started upgrading our home. The pantry contains just the basics: my father's sugary cereals, my mother's diet crackers, the cheap coffee no one actually drinks. Upstairs, I enter what was my bedroom. The bed remains, but the premium mattress I bought last year is gone, leaving just the cheap box spring that came with the house. My dresser is gone. My bookshelf is gone. I sit cross-legged on the floor, open my laptop, and begin making calls. First, to the power company. Yes, I need to cancel service at 1342 Oakwood Lane, I say, voice steady. The account is under Krista Kessler. May I ask why you're canceling, Miss Kessler? The representative asks. I'm moving. Simple. Truthful. I see. There will be a final reading tomorrow, and service will be disconnected by 5 p.m. Is there a forwarding address for the final bill? I provide my new address, then make the same call to the water company, and another to cancel the internet service that powered our whole smart home system. Each call takes less than 10 minutes. Each representative is professionally indifferent to my decision. By 6 p.m., I've made all the calls. Every utility will be shut off within 48 hours before my family returns from their Hawaiian paradise. Night falls. The house is dark except for the single lamp I've left plugged in my room. I shower in the now empty bathroom, dry myself with the one towel I've kept out of my luggage, and sleep on a blanket on the floor of my old bedroom. In the morning, I load my remaining bags into my car. I've left nothing behind that's truly mine. In the kitchen, I place my house keys on the counter. Beside them, I stack the new, unpaid utility bills I collected from the mailbox yesterday. All addressed to Mark and Brenda Kessler. All services they've enjoyed without thought because I handled them. I take one last look around the empty house. 6 years of my life. $2,000 a month. $144,000. I lock the door from the inside, step out, and pull it shut behind me with a satisfying click. In my car, I check the time. 6 days until they return from Maui. 6 days until they discover what responsibility actually costs. Tick-tock, I whisper as I drive away, heading toward my new, much smaller, infinitely more peaceful home. 6 days later, the family is back. I'm sitting in my new studio apartment when my phone buzzes with a notification from the Ring doorbell app I never deleted. A final loose end I deliberately left untied. The app shows the Kesslers have returned, dragging oversized suitcases up the front walk. Their faces are tanned, their shoulders slumped with travel fatigue. Brenda clutches a pineapple-shaped souvenir. Mark fumbles with his keys. Sloan and Corbin trail behind, still wearing their matching aloha shirts. Rhett brings up the rear, his neck ringed with a plastic lei. I take a sip of my coffee, turn the volume up on my phone, and watch. Honey, Brenda calls as Mark finally gets the door open. Don't forget the light switch is finicky. They disappear inside. I count down in my head. 3, 2, 1. Mark? Brenda's voice filters through the Ring's microphone. The lights aren't working. Hang on, Mark replies, his voice growing fainter as he moves away from the door. Let me check the breaker. A minute passes. The door remains open, spilling their conversation onto the porch where the Ring camera captures every word. Nothing's working, Mark calls back. The power's out. Did you forget to pay the bill? Brenda asks, irritation edging into her voice. Me? You handle the utilities. I smile as I imagine them standing in the dark hallway, jet-lagged and confused. Corbin pushes past them, phone flashlight activated. His beam sweeps across the living room, then stops. Dad? His voice rises an octave. Where's the TV? The flashlight beam jerks around wildly now, illuminating empty spaces where furniture used to be. What the hell? Mark's heavy footsteps pound across the floor. Sloan screams from the kitchen. The fridge is gone. Everything's gone. I watch as they spill back onto the front porch, faces pale in the dying November sunlight. Brenda's hands shake as she clutches at Mark's sleeve. Someone broke in, she gasps. Call 911. Mark fumbles his phone from his pocket, fingers trembling as he dials. I watch his face contort as he explains the situation to the dispatcher, describing a robbery in progress. Corbin paces the porch, his own phone gripped tightly in his hand. His brow furrows as something occurs to him. The Ring camera, he says suddenly. We can check the footage. Of course Corbin would think of that. The tech guy of the family who couldn't even launch a successful startup with $50,000 of funding. I take another sip of my coffee as I watch him tap at his phone, accessing the same app I'm currently using. I know the exact moment he finds the footage from 3 days ago. His face drains of color, mouth dropping open. She took everything, he stammers. The others crowd around his phone. I can picture the video playing on his screen. Me, clipboard in hand, directing the movers as they carefully load the 80-inch TV, the smart fridge, the washer and dryer, the espresso machine. All documented, all organized, all mine. Krista did this? Brenda's voice breaks on my name. But why would she? Because she's crazy, Sloane cuts in. I told you she was getting weird. Mark takes the phone from Corbin, watching the footage with narrowing eyes. When he looks up, his face is rigid with fury. She can't do this, he growls. This is our house. I set my phone down on the coffee table of my new apartment and walk to the window. Outside, the November sunset paints the sky in shades of orange and purple. My studio is small, but the light here is beautiful. Clean. Mine. My phone starts buzzing again. Not the Ring app this time, but actual calls. One after another. The same numbers over and over, no contact names attached. I pick it up and look at the screen. 52 missed calls in the span of 10 minutes. Then the texts start flowing in from my mother's number. Krista. Call me. Where are you? The house was robbed. I set the phone face down on the table and make myself a fresh cup of coffee. The buzzing continues, persistent as a trapped wasp, as I move around my small kitchen. I take my time, measuring the grounds with precision, waiting for the water to reach the perfect temperature. When I return to the window with my steaming cup, a police car is pulling up in front of my building. Behind it, my father's sedan screeches to a halt, double parking in his haste. They pile out Mark, Brenda, Corbin, Sloane, and Rhett, a gesticulating mass of righteous indignation, as they follow the two officers into my building. My intercom buzzes 3 minutes later. Miss Kessler? The front desk attendant's voice is professionally neutral. There are police officers here asking to speak with you. They say your family is with them. I take a long, slow breath, savoring the moment. 6 years of paying for a house that was never mine. 6 years of being the invisible pillar, the responsible one, the family ATM. 6 years of swallowing my resentment, as they took and took and took. The moment has arrived. The trap I set has sprung perfectly. Ma'am, the police are here, the attendant prompts when I don't immediately respond. With your family. Get. I set my coffee cup down and cross to my desk. My hand comes to rest on the 3-inch binder filled with receipts, warranties, and bank statements. 6 years of meticulous documentation. 6 years of evidence. Tell the policeman only they can come in, I reply. I pick up the binder, feeling its reassuring weight in my hands. I don't rush. This moment belongs to me. The knock comes at exactly 4:17 p.m. 2 sharp raps, official and unyielding. I've been expecting this since the building manager called. Ma'am, your family downstairs is claiming you've stolen their television and appliances. The officer's voice is neutral, professional. He's young, maybe 30, with close-cropped hair and a name tag reading, Officer Brennan. His partner, older with salt and pepper hair, stands slightly behind, watching my face for a reaction. I don't give him one. Please come in, I say, stepping back from my apartment door. I have coffee. The studio is small but immaculate. My 80-inch TV dominates one wall, the espresso machine gleams on the counter. Everything, I took everything that was mine, fits perfectly in this space. I've been waiting for this moment for 9 days. Black or cream? I ask, pouring from the carafe. Black, thank you, Officer Brennan says, his eyes scanning the apartment. I hand him the mug, then reach for my 3-inch binder sitting ready on the counter. The weight of it is reassuring in my hands. 6 years of meticulous documentation. 6 years of receipts, bank statements, and warranties, all organized by date, item, and payment method. This should clarify things, I say, handing him the binder. The lead officer takes it, balancing his coffee in one hand. He flips it open, his expression unchanging as he turns the plastic-protected pages. He pauses at the invoice for the TV. This is the television they're referring to? The 80-inch 4K? Yes, I reply, purchased with my year-end bonus, $2,500 plus tax. He nods, flipping more pages. His finger traces down a highlighted bank statement, then stops at a warranty card with my name printed clearly on it. He finds the bill of sale for the fridge, pauses at the washer and dryer documentation, raises an eyebrow at the espresso machine receipt. The older officer leans in, murmuring something I can't hear. Officer Brennan nods, then closes the binder. Everything appears to be in your name, Miss Kessler, he says, handing it back. His eyes meet mine, and I see something shift there, a reassessment. Ma'am, do you want us to file a harassment report on your behalf? The question hangs in the air between us. 6 years of silent contribution, 6 years of being the responsible one, the ATM. 6 years of watching Corbin waste $50,000 on a startup that never started up. 6 years of Sloane's private college tuition and sorority dues being paid without question, while I covered mortgage payments that should have been my parents' responsibility. No, I say finally. That won't be necessary. He nods, understanding in his eyes. We'll take care of it. Thank you for the coffee. I don't follow them to the door. I don't need to watch what happens next. Through my open window, I hear the commotion 3 floors down. My father's voice, rising in indignation. My mother's tearful protests. It's a civil matter. Officer Brennan's voice carries up clearly. She has provided documentation of ownership for all items in question. You need to leave the property now, or be cited for trespassing. Silence follows, then the slam of car doors. I close my window. 3 weeks later, I'm pushing my cart through the produce section of Greenway Market when I spot them. Corbin and Sloane, huddled near the organic apples, scanning the store, waiting for me. I consider abandoning my half-filled cart, but something hardened inside me weeks ago hasn't softened. I push forward. Sloane spots me first, her eyes narrowing. At 22, she looks older suddenly, the privilege and certainty drained from her face. This isn't funny, Krista. She hisses as I reach for a bag of Honeycrisp apples. Mom is crying every day. You need to fix this. I place the apples in my cart, moving past her without response. Corbin steps into my path. His usually perfect hair is uncombed, his designer shirt wrinkled. Just turn the internet back on, he says, desperation edging his voice. How am I supposed to apply for jobs? You've gone too far. I look at my 28-year-old brother, really look at him. The failed entrepreneur, the eternal student, the perpetual child. You're 28, Corbin, I say, the words falling like stones between us. Get your own Wi-Fi. I push my cart past them, their protests fading behind me. The weight of the binder isn't in my hands anymore, but I feel lighter all the same. 2 months later, a manila envelope arrives at my door. Inside, a summons to small claims court. They're suing me for $5,000 in emotional damages and stolen property. My mother's signature on the complaint form is shaky but determined. They tried everything else. This is their last stand. The courtroom is smaller than I expected, with worn wooden benches and fluorescent lights that buzz overhead. My parents sit across the aisle, not looking at me. Corbin and Sloane aren't here. Perhaps they couldn't be bothered to wake up in time for the 9 a.m. hearing. Kessler versus Kessler, the clerk calls. We approach the bench. My father speaks first, a carefully rehearsed speech about family obligations and property rights. He mentions the house, their house, and how I abandoned them without warning. He talks about the difficulties they've faced without proper appliances, about the emotional toll, about my theft of family items. When he finishes, the judge turns to me. And your response, Miss Kessler? I don't speak. Instead, I place my 3-inch binder on his desk. The sound it makes is final, definitive. He opens it, frowning slightly at first, then with increasing interest as he turns the pages. 5 minutes pass in silence as he reviews bank statements, receipts, and utility bills in my name. Mr. Kessler, he says finally, closing the binder. These items appear to be legally purchased and owned by your daughter. Furthermore, I see evidence here that she contributed $2,000 monthly toward your mortgage for 6 years while living in your home. Is that correct? My father shifts uncomfortably. Well, yes, but... And you're claiming she stole property that she herself purchased? It was for the family, my mother interjects. She can't just take it. The judge's expression hardens. Mrs. Kessler, I suggest you not speak out of turn. He turns back to my father. This case is dismissed. And Mr. Kessler, I would caution you about bringing frivolous claims to this court. There are penalties for perjury. The gavel comes down with a crack that echoes through the small courtroom. My parents don't look at me as they leave. I gather my binder and walk out alone, into the cold air. I don't look back. I don't need to. 4 months later, I'm sitting on the small balcony of my studio apartment. The air is cold against my skin, but I don't mind. I wrap my fingers around a steaming mug of coffee, the expensive kind Corbin used to drain from my machine without ever buying a replacement bag. My apartment isn't much. 400 square feet that would fit inside the Kessler family living room with space to spare. But every inch of it is mine. Every utility bill has only my name on it. The silence here isn't the hollow absence of people who should be present. It's peace earned and protected. Uncle Dean called last week. He waited until he knew I'd be home from work, his voice careful when I answered. The house is gone, he said without preamble. Foreclosed after 3 months. They couldn't make the payments. I took a sip of tea, letting the information settle. Where are they living now? 2-bedroom rental across town. Mark and Brenda took the master. Rhett's on the couch. Sloan and Corbin are sharing the 2nd bedroom. He paused. Sloan had to leave Westlake. She's at community college now. Westlake University. $45,000 a year in tuition alone. Sorority dues on top of that. All while I quietly transferred $2,000 to my parents' account every month for 6 years. Krista, they're really struggling, Uncle Dean said, his voice dropping into that guilt-inducing register family's perfect over generations. Did they ask you to call me? Not exactly, but... Then they're not struggling enough, I replied, surprised by my own steadiness. They'll figure it out. They're adults. The consequences arrived like dominoes falling. The 2-bedroom apartment, Sloan's transfer, my father having to find an actual full-time job for the first time in 15 years. My mother selling her jewelry on Facebook Marketplace. Reality, crashing down on people who thought they could fly forever on someone else's wings. I take another sip of coffee, watching the sun climb higher. My phone buzzes with a notification. LinkedIn. I tap the screen. Corbin Kessler has sent you a message. I open it with mild curiosity. Hey sis, hope you're doing well. Listen, I've got an interview at Meridian Tech next week. Any chance you could be a reference? You know how reliable I am when I put my mind to something. I stare at the message, my finger hovering over the screen. 28 years old, and still convinced the world owes him a cushioned landing. I click ignore, then block his profile for good measure. 4 months ago, I woke up in a cold, silent house, abandoned by the people who should have been there. I remember standing in that kitchen, the moment everything crystallized, the soft click of realization like a lock turning. Now I sit in my own space, smaller but infinitely more honest. My bills are reasonable because I only pay for what I need. My shelves hold books I actually read. My refrigerator contains food only I eat. People ask if I ever feel guilty. Former co-workers who heard through the grapevine. The few friends who know the whole story. They want to know if I wonder whether I went too far, if I think about my family struggling in their cramped apartment while I sit here with my expensive coffee maker and my quiet mornings. I take a final sip, letting the rich flavor linger on my tongue. No, I don't. For the first time in my life, the silence is actually mine.